Okay. President of Kenya, William Ruto, made a post on Twitter, X for the new guys. We call it Twitter. Yeah, saying congratulations to the newest president of Tanzania, Madam Suluhu, saying congratulations for the newest term, the second term after election. And Kenyans moved very, very quickly. Why? Because President of Kenya said on behalf of Kenyans, I congratulate you. Let's watch this. This is very, very interesting. So as he made his congratulations message to his counterpart from Tanzania, as you can see the map, Kenya and Tanzania are very much beyond neighbors. They are brothers. They all speak Swahili, which is a beautiful language, very beautiful language that's spoken in most African countries here. You can see East Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Kenya, obviously with a bit of a twang and a twist here and there, but with a bit of patience. If they listen to each other, they can understand one another and communicate. So obviously, President Ruto said, congratulations on behalf of the government and on the people of Kenya. I extend my congratulations to Excellency Samia Suluhu. I can barely see her. My eyes are not looking good very much. Now, Kenyans moved very swiftly, very angry, opposing what the president said. Kenyans don't play, my brother. Kenyans, watch what they said. Kenyan moves very quickly, adding a note on what the president said. Look at this. A disclaimer basically saying that the opinion expressed on this post do not represent the majority of Kenyans. Only that of the bloodthirsty author not moved by the massacre happening in Tanzania. Kenya stand in solidarity with Tanzania during this difficult moment. So president says something on behalf of the nation, and people of the nation added a note, say president must speak for himself. This has nothing to do with us. This is crazy. We're going to dive into this very quickly and see what this is about. Now, we're going to read some of the comments made by Kenyans, you know. I mean, like I said again, Kenyans and Tanzanians are just beyond cousins. They're real brothers. Okay, this man here named Akot, he says, we don't have a problem congratulating her, but dragging the whole country, in your own opinion, is where we don't like it, sir. Kindly don't include us, as that's your own personal opinion and not reflective of the people of Kenya as a whole. Interesting, you know. A lot of people really pushing back on the president. Let's go to the next one. The next one says, dear brothers and sisters from Tanzania, please note that the letter above does not represent our collective views. It reflects an individual opinion. Thank you for your understanding. This is another Kenyan commenting under his own president. Let's move to the next one. Well, the next one, the guy publishes a picture. I believe this is President Ruto's family, and on top he says people of Kenya, because Mr. Ruto said people of Kenya congratulate you, or on behalf of people of Kenya I congratulate you. So this person takes and makes a context out of it. He says people of Kenya, he's talking about it's him and his sons and his wife. I believe this is a family, right? Yeah, just confirm, Kenyans. Now on the next one. The next one says, Bernard W says, I knew a butcher wouldn't hesitate to congratulate a fellow butcher. That's very harsh word. Very, very harsh word. Why do they say that? Well, we know there was a lot of mayhem in Kenya, and Kenyans are very opinionated people, and whatever they say it. Let's move to the next one. The next one, Yahaya DA says, congratulations to Samia Suluhu. We love you, our dear President William Ruto. So clearly you can see there's a divide here. Some people are attacking Ruto for this. Some people are congratulating Samia Suluhu. Okay, so obviously you always find the north and the south. That's what it is. On the next one, he says, you brag too much about your education until it's time to actually use it. Then the stupidity shows. This is a harsh way of speaking to your president. Speak for yourself, William. Wow. Stop dragging Kenyans into your nonsense. Get a life. Yeah, this Generation Z is not a joke. I mean, they got different types of brain cells and actions, no doubt about that. So for context, President, this lady right here, is newly elected president of Tanzania with 97, I believe, %. She won the election. 97% of people in Tanzania voted for her. That's what the ballot says officially. Well, there's a lot of opposition. People say it's absolutely not truth. Some people feel like the government did everything to bar opposition from representing themselves. Some of the decent and relevant opposition were thrown in jail as per the opposition, allowing Mr. President to be the only person that's representative in this election. Now, there have been reports that a number of people were unalived in Tanzania. The opposition talks about 700 people, at least. The government talks about 3 people. So who is telling the truth? We don't know. Question mark. Question mark. There's another person that made a comment named Kenya J or something. He says, those who won the election with 98% victory in history have all been executed, killed by rebels, overthrown, incarcerated, or escaped to exile. Mr. Ruto, make no mistake, Kenya would not mirror Tanzania's manipulated election. You forfeited your legitimacy as a... Anyway, as you can see, Kenyans are very outspoken. You know, they don't sugarcoat. The bottom line is lots of things, a lot of comments. You can go to William Ruto's Twitter account and read for yourself. I think it's very interesting. All we want for Africa is peace and honesty, transparency. We don't want the tendency where people have to suffer for that's not what we want. We want to see an Africa that grows. There's been report that the president of Tanzania is signed in as a president officially. Some people criticize her, saying that she was sworn in a barrack, a military barrack, because they're sort of afraid of the people that are not happy. Now, is that truth? Well, we're trying to do some research about it. They say it's not a barrack. They say they did the swearing ceremony in a very guarded place, very secured place. It was held at a military parade ground in Dodoma. Now, military parade ground, is that a barrack? I'm not sure. What I see is military parade ground. Now, question mark. It's not a barrack. While the venue had military presence and was under tight security, it was not a barrack. That's what they say. It was a formal parade ground used for official state ceremonies. Now, that's what it is. People also criticize her, saying that not many presidents came into attendance. Apparently, it was only the president of Somalia, of Burundi, and the president of Zambia. Now, in most cases in Africa, generally, when you become president and you're sworn into power, you get a lot of guests, a lot of presidents from many places. Now, on the picture, we only see these people. I'm not sure whether there's other pictures, but anyway, that's what it is. Now, before we finish, we need to talk about a story about Zambia, talking about the president of Zambia. This man right here, his name is Ichilema. Right? Ichilema sounds very Nigerian, right? Anyway, Africans are all tight. We all the same Africans. I know some of you hate it, but deal with it. Anyway, now let's talk about Zambia. In Zambia, a situation happened. If you want to talk about hatred, this is a very interesting story. This man right here, his name is Lungu, President Lungu, former president of Zambia. And this man, Ichilema, was the current president of Zambia. Well, as you would imagine, in most cases in Africa, it's very rare to see 2 presidents, whilst one of them is former president, really get along. It's mayhem because, well, it seems like most African people just love power. Let's put it that way. However, the situation between these two is that Lungu, this man, passed away a while back. How did he pass away? Well, he passed away in a foreign land, and his family decided to bury him in a foreign land. That's very unusual for a president, right? Because normally as a president, your body is sent back home to be buried with all the honors possible. Now, his case was different because his family did not want him to be buried back home. Why? Because he himself, Lungu, said he would never allow this man here, Ichilema, to stand in front of his dead body. He will never allow that. Why is that? You're probably asking yourself, that must be crazy. I mean, this is just politics. How come you get to this level? Because apparently people say that one of the reasons why Lungu lost his life is because Lungu was sick. And because he was sick, Ichilema, out of vengeance, like many people say, refused to make it easy for him to travel. Or in other words, his service, not the president directly, but his services made it difficult for the former president to travel abroad to get treated because he was very sick. I'm not sure which disease it was, but he had unfortunately to travel to a foreign land to get treated. Now you're asking why? Because, well, many African countries don't necessarily develop the infrastructure in a country when they become president. Many people in Africa become president, they promise the world to everybody, but once they become president, they don't do none of that. They enriched themselves and their family and relatives. Now, Zambia apparently did not have the institutions and the infrastructure to treat whatever disease that this man right here was suffering from. So he needed to travel somewhere else to a foreign land, foreign country to get treated appropriately. Now, people claim that services from this man, Ichilema, made it difficult for this man to travel abroad and get treated, and that could be one of the main reasons why he lost his life, or else he would have been alive now. And because of that situation, that specific moment, while he was still suffering, this former president said he will never allow, his family at least should not allow, that his body get buried next to this man here. Now, why would somebody do this? Because apparently this President Lungu was president before this president, and when he was president, he was driving with his motorcade, whilst Ichilema's car was in front of the motorcade and refused to give him space. Now, you know, when the president is driving with his cars, 12 cars, everybody has to move to the side to allow the president to pass. Now, apparently Ichilema, this man here on the picture, when he was not president, he was driving in front of the motorcade and refused to move to the side to allow the presidential motorcade to pass. He was stopped and arrested and thrown in jail for many months, I believe a year. And people say that because he was angry at that, that's the reason why he made things very difficult for this guy, Lungu, and therefore Lungu lost his life. Now, there was a battle in South Africa because the government of Zambia wanted the body back in the country because they had to bury him as a president, you know, or former president. You must give him the honors and stuff. Well, his family refused because they refused. And also some people talked about some spiritual stuff, you know, esoteric power. The newer president's gonna try to do some quick to do some sermon and some ushuada on his spirit. So then, yeah, it was very difficult. You can see this lady's crying. That's a deep cry. That's profound hurt, saying this is when the judge said the body must return back to Zambia and be buried. She cried deep. Anyway, we're gonna stop right there. You want to know what happened next? Follow our next video. Let me know how you feel about this. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Hatred shouldn't go beyond the measure. We all visitors in this world. God bless.